Hi everyone and welcome to another Facebook Q&A live session. My name is Talon and I'll be your host for this evening. I'm sitting here right now in the UVic Welcome Center here at the beautiful University of Victoria, and I'm joined by a panel of students from the Faculty of Human and Social Development. Thank you so much for joining me here today, folks. Now, before we meet our panel officially, I just want to acknowledge with respect the Lekwungen-speaking peoples on whose traditional territory the university is currently situated, and the Wasanich, Esquimalt, and Songhees peoples whose traditions with this land continue and thrive to this day. So we're just going to go around the circle very quickly here and just talk about what kind of program you're in, what year you're in, and introduce where home is to you, to the audience.
Perfect, thank you. So my name's Natalie. I'm a fourth year Health Information Science student, and my home is here, Victoria.
Hi, my name's Kelsey. I'm a fourth year child and youth care student, and I am from Penticton, BC.
Hi, I'm Abby. I am going into my second year of child and youth care, and I'm from Alliston, Ontario.
Hi, my name's Tobias. I'm a fourth year social work student, and I'm from Victoria.
Hi, I'm Kenneth. I'm a fourth year nursing student from Victoria.
Thank you so much, folks, for introducing yourselves. And I didn't mention before, but these folks are all here and waiting for you to comment and ask them questions about their program and anything that you might be wondering there at home. So they're standing by. And we're actually going to start off with a question that I have for all of you, and that is, why did you choose your program at UVic, and what made it right for you? So we're actually going to go around this way this time, starting over there with Candace.
So what made me decide on UVic for nursing was it was a combination of being close to home and also doing a little bit of research on the available nursing programs in BC. And I found that UVic was very well renowned within BC, so I decided it would be a good fit for me.
Yeah, so I heard from a lot of social workers in the local community that the program here really provided them with a great framework for practice, and also the weather is pretty amazing, which I'm sure other people will say too.
So child and youth care for me was, I interacted with a lot of people who were trained in the child and youth care community as a kid, and for that interaction, I wanted to give back to the communities that I would be living in. So that was a big deal for me.
So I decided on UVic because at first I didn't actually know what I wanted to do, if I wanted to do psychology, child and youth care education. And as I talked with more and more professionals in the field, the UVic Child and Youth Care program kept coming up. So I did some research and I found it was the best match for me.
And for me, UVic is one of the few universities that offers health information science as a program. So I was really drawn to that, and I've met a lot of people who've had good success in the program. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So I'm getting a lot of giving back to the community that you're currently in, a lot of practical experience and some weather involvement there too, as I understand it. Fantastic. So we have a question here from Bernie. What's up, Bernie? Bernie wants to know how the nursing program is at UVic, and I'm going to pass this one over to Candace, our nursing student.
Well, that's an open-ended question. I don't really know how to go from there, but from my experiences so far, it's been fantastic. I've been lucky to have followed a cohort throughout my 4 years from one of my partner schools that I transferred from, and that all of the professors that I've had the pleasure of learning from and conversing with have been really supportive, and just it's been kind of a nice collaborative atmosphere, just learning lots from everyone, including my colleagues as well. So.
That sounds really interesting. It sounds like a very interesting kind of program. I just wanted to remind everybody at home as well that unfortunately, due to time restrictions and whatnot, we can't actually answer any admissions-related questions here tonight. We do have people standing by looking through comments, but there are other parts of UVic websites and advisors that are there to help you with those kind of questions. But we are willing to take any student information kind of questions that you might have. Our next question is actually, what is health information science, or should we say health informatics? So this one's going to go over to Natalie.
Perfect. So health information science is a dynamic field. It kind of combines business processes as well as healthcare, and then it also combines technology. So you really get a comprehensive education. And where you'd end up working with this degree is you'd be supporting kind of operational processes in hospitals, or you could be working on projects, and it's really health focused in that sense. Yeah.
That sounds like a very specific kind of focused, interesting program. So this one as well, just to go off of that a little bit, in terms of the atmosphere of the program, this is for anybody who wants it, so it's up for grabs. Could you describe the general atmosphere in your program? If you had to sum it up in, say, a 30-second little clip, what would that be like?
I can take that one. So I think for all of us, or most of us, we all have pretty small cohorts, and with that, we kind of we get to work with a lot of the same people and develop close relationships. So I feel like, I don't know if you guys have that same experience, but I feel like that's definitely, you all support each other and kind of go through it together.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Anyone want to add off of that? I've seen a lot of like nods about cohorts and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, with the social work program, which I'm sure others as well, there's a lot of self-reflection in our material and our learning, and I think that's a really wonderful experience, that you're not just getting this academic side, but also it can be pretty transformational when you're exploring your own biases, your upbringing, how that informs the way you work, how that can inform systems. So that's definitely something I appreciate.
Fantastic. And actually, Tobias, I'm going to bug you a little bit more because Ramon wants to know. Hi, Ramon. What, if anyone has done the online social work program, and if so, what is that like?
So I've actually been able to do a bit of both. So my third year was on campus. That was a great way to meet people, kind of connect and establish like a on the ground sort of experience. But at the same time, in my fourth year, it's primarily been online. And with that comes flexibility. So for example, if I'm working in the field, I can do courses kind of around my work schedule. Also, I think it's important for these smaller communities where individuals that are interested in social work or child and youth care don't have to leave and then, you know, fall in love with Victoria and never return. You can kind of have your learning experience there and also introduce or offer what you're learning to the community. So I would suggest that both are great opportunities.
That is really cool. That sounds like a really interesting, diverse kind of way to learn. We were talking before that I also, like you at home, might not have the most experience learning about this program. So it's really cool to hear the kind of diversity in classes and what the programs are like for you. So thank you for sharing that. This one as well goes out to everyone. Speaking of diversity and differences in classes, we were talking earlier about what your classes are like and how that might differ from maybe other faculties at the university. Could you just expand a little bit for anyone that wants to? What are your classes like?
I can chime in on
Yeah,
that.
Kelsey.
So the child and youth care classes, I would say, are a fairly tight-knit group and a really fun community. The classes itself, the professors are very knowledgeable. They're actually practitioners in the field, and they really care about each and every student. They get to know your name. All the students by the end of the classes get to know each other's names, and because of that, the learning experience is so much richer, learning from each other, learning from the professor, and then all working together. So
Sounds like a little family you have going on there. That sounds so lovely. Is that the consensus over the side of the room too? Is it very much like a tight-knit kind of community? Oh, yeah. Fantastic. So we have another question here from Siva. Hi there, Siva. And Siva wants to know, how is UVic different from other universities in terms of the nursing program? And so we're going to take it on back to our resident nursing student, Candace over here. And Candace, hopefully you can help answer that question for us.
From my understanding, in BC, there are different types of nursing schools with different lengths of programs. So what makes UVic unique is that it's a 4-year program and it's very comprehensive, and you really do flesh out each year and you build each year learning on the core concepts that you need in order to pass the final exam, which is the NCLEX. I can't really define the acronym for you from the top of my head right now, but that's the final exam that you'll need to complete and pass in order to become a registered nurse in BC. So the nursing program that I'm in is for to become a registered nurse. So other programs in BC might offer programs for licensed practical nursing, or maybe healthcare aid. There's a whole variety out there. But UVic just felt right for me, and it just kind of, it was congruent to my values and all of the things I wanted in a university. You might have to do a little bit more Googling in terms of the other schools that are available based on your needs. Some programs might be 2 years, but require 2 years of undergraduate work before you apply to the program, or it might be 3 years. It just depends.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Candice. And it sounds like that's worked out for you, that choice so far, if I'm not mistaken. Very good. So this one's back to everyone again. So imagine now that I'm a high school student. I'm thinking about university life and what that entails. How many hours a week do you have to do to study well in your program, if you had to estimate? Yeah, Abby.
Sure. So my sister just went into college, so this is a really good question from my end. She was a little bit surprised because it's actually just conformant of what you choose to put into it. And I think it's really a level of responsibility that you suddenly take on, and you're like, okay, I guess I'm an adult now. But you really don't have to take it in that scary aspect. There's always people to help you. We're like part of faculties again that are family. So it's really what you put into it that you get out of it, and just make sure that you're always on top of your stuff.
Fantastic. Thank you, Abby. And on that note as well, do you have to write a lot of papers in your programs? I see some chuckles over here. Maybe there's some diversity in that as well. What are we thinking? Who do you think wants to take this one? Tobias?
So for the social work program, it's your 3rd and 4th year. So your first 2 years you can be at UVic or you can be at another college. So for our program currently, what I've experienced is mostly papers and projects. So it's not exam-based or quizzes, but that's my experience. I don't know the direction it's moving in.
Excellent. That sounds really nice. And so just a quick reminder for you at home that we do have all these folks here on the panel with me standing by, ready to answer more of your questions. So don't hesitate. Please plug away. They have the thumbs up waiting for you. And so, no, absolutely. And so kind of off the papers topic again for everyone, a personal question here. Do you have to have a strong science or math background? As one who does not have a strong math background, do you have to have that to pursue to succeed in health information sciences and nursing? So kind of to Natalie or Candice there.
I can take that.
Sure.
So I wouldn't say a strong background per se, but definitely the initial core years, at least in my experience, did address those topics. But a lot of people, it's more, focused with dealing with people. I think that's why it more falls under HSD instead of a science, is that you really interact with people, and there's a lot more of the social aspects to it. So you do have to have some science understanding, but it's not a hardcore science in that sense, at least in my perspective.
Anything to add on that note, Candice? How's it like for your perspective?
So for the nursing program here at UVic, it's a partner school with many colleges in BC. So again, you're going to have to look at the partner college of your choice, and they do have different entrance requirements. So that's something to look into. I believe most of them do require, having your grade 12 bio or chem. So just look into that. Things might change over the few years, but it's something always good to double check when you're applying for schools.
I think that's a good general tip as well. Caution is key. It's always best to check than to wait. And so on that kind of shifting gears a little bit, I wanted to ask each one of you, what has been very kind of interesting, surprising, or what have you liked most about your program? And kind of tell us a little bit about that. Yep, okay, let's do it.
So I think with my program, one of the unique things is the fact that it's very group-based, and I never really thought going to university that I'd have so much group work, but I think it really does prepare you for the real world and working with other people and just kind of, working with different types of people. So that's one thing that really surprised me.
I would say one of my favorite things about the Child and Youth Care program is a lot of the very practical courses. We have, at least in my experience, we have had 4 or 5 like counseling courses where you sit down and record and you actually practice with a classmate face to face counseling them. So I didn't expect that coming in, and so far they've been some of my favorite courses.
That's incredible. So did you expect that when you were going into the course, then to be able to sit down in your course and start like counseling and talking to people in such like a hands-on way?
I didn't expect it so soon when I got into the program because in my experience, we had a course first year. Luckily, the professors that we had were amazing, and we got right into it, and it was like a core theoretical concept for a lot of the other classes, the counseling. So surprising, but very enjoyable.
Very cool. And on that note of very practical experience, we were talking a bit before the show about this as well, but it's my understanding that some programs in health and social development, or human and social development, have a required co-op, while others have practicums. I wonder if we can just talk a little bit about that and share some of your experiences.
Sure, I'll go ahead. So being that I've only done my second year practicum so far, I did that at Big Brothers Big Sisters, which was amazing. I still get involved with them every once in a while, as much as I can with my busy work schedule. But it creates such a diversity of your connections, and you never know, like maybe they're going to be your employers in like 5-10 years. And it gives you so many life skills already, whether it's practicum or co-op, which I can't speak for health information sciences. But yeah, for practicums, it's definitely just literally practical work and trying to figure out where you best fit in your field.
Fantastic. And on the other side of that coin, I think I'm going to pick on you again, Natalie, because it's my understanding that health information sciences is a co-op based one. Is that correct?
So health information science has 3 mandatory co-ops, at least so far, and I've completed 2 of them. So yeah, it's back to what you said about how, yeah, it's a good opportunity to sort of network and meet people who you may possibly be working with in the future, as well as kind of apply your theoretical knowledge into practical skills. So yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And so we have a question now from Kendra. Hi there, Kendra. And Kendra wants to know, this is going to be for social and Tobias, social work. Could you please describe the differences or experiences that you had moving from your social services diploma into the Bachelors of Social Work program?
So I can't really answer that question because I didn't do a diploma before I went to the program. I did 2 years at UVic. So I could talk a little bit about that experience. Okay, so I did my first 2 years at UVic, which was primarily psychology, sociology, a lot of health, which I love. But during those 2 years, I knew that I was interested in social work. So I already started volunteering and working in the field, and that was a great way to get experience and kind of figure out which domains of social work I was interested in, because there's social workers everywhere. So it's nice to kind of figure out what you resonate with most.
And do you feel like you found that now, what you resonate with by being in the program and kind of developing that? Or is that like still a work in progress?
I would say definitely a work in progress. What I like about being at a school is through the practicums, they can kind of connect you with bigger opportunities that you might not be able to get with just based on your own seeking of opportunities. So that's something I really appreciate too.
Fantastic. And thank you very much for that question, Kendra. Keep them coming, folks. So I have another question for you all. It's another general one, so it's up for grabs. What are the professors like in your program?
Can I speak to that one?
You may.
I cannot stop gushing about the professors in my program. So as it seems like it's been similar for a lot of people and in my experience, because we're such a small faculty, we get a lot of the same professors, and they sometimes will follow you through the years. And it's really interesting having professors that have seen you in first year and then seen you in 4th year and can actually speak to how much you've grown. And they really care about you. Even outside of schoolwork, they really do care about it. At least in my experience, they have cared kind of about who you are. They want to know about you. And sometimes at the end of our classes, at the end of semester, we would have like potlucks where we would have, oh, self-care. I can tell you're very stressed. Let's have a meditation break. So they are very caring, at least in my program and from my experience.
Sounds great. How about over here? Do you folks have anything to add on that one about professors?
Very similar to your program. All of the professors I've been privileged to work with and learn from them as well, they've been very supportive and they genuinely care about their students. Again, many potlucks at the end of term, even after a quiz sometimes. It gets it is like a gigantic family in nursing over here. And another great thing with some of the professors that I've learned from was that they really challenged me to think outside of the box and challenge some of the core values I once had and just grow from that. So in addition to becoming hopefully a competent nurse in the future, I've learned more about myself than I have ever been beforehand. So it's been.
That sounds like such a nice little family. And so how do you feel like the class sizes have kind of played into that or helped to accommodate that? And do you have any experience that you're able to share on that? Yeah, Tobias.
Yeah, I think my first 2 years, as I was saying, I was taking a lot of electives, so you would have these big psychology classes, which were amazing too, but it was nice coming into this program, which was smaller, and you'd have class sizes which would be like 25 or online might be 35, so you really get to kind of create a bond with people and explore stuff in a different way.
25 or 35, my goodness. I come from a science degree where it's fantastic. I'm in smaller class sizes now, but to start off with, you're in about 300 or so. So this is a very different kind of survey for me. So getting outside of the class, a complete opposite now, what do you think is the most important thing that you have learned outside of the classroom? And why does this kind of work well or mesh with your program? Yeah, of course, Abby.
So for me, I'm part of our CYC, or Child and Youth Care Student Society, as well as Kelsey. I am the treasurer, and I was first year rep last year. And that was really fantastic, getting outside of the classroom and interacting with students in a different light, as well as doing UVic New Student Welcome. So this kind of like opened me up to trying to welcome people who are younger than me and getting on their level. And that's kind of part of our program too, is getting on other people's levels and just understanding where they're coming from, as well as just opening the doors to new friends and new family generally. So
that sounds fantastic. We're actually going to ask this one around the room. I think this is a really important thing to touch on because it sounds like you all have some really interesting practical experience outside of the classroom. So we'll just go this way and go around the room then.
That's a hard one. There's so many wonderful experiences and wonderful things that I've done since I've moved to Victoria and started at UVic. I volunteer a lot on campus. We have a pet cafe that runs every week. So I get to spend every Wednesday petting dogs, and I've volunteered for the hockey team. Volunteer experience is really big for child and youth care, and anything that has to do with like self-care or health or mental health is major. And then just getting to spend time with the children of the community, because I do work here as well, around my schedule, and it's just very practical, make some money. And it's taught me a lot about the Indigenous communities in and around the area, which has been really fantastic.
So I think for me with health information science, we have a course union, and it's really nice because we'll plan events and meet up with professors and alumni, and we all get together, and it's very like a good social environment to kind of learn from one another, share experiences. So that's another thing I really like about my program. Yeah.
Oh, where to begin? I mean, nursing, we have a course union as well that keeps us, engaged in our social and fundraising initiatives. Clinically, each student has their own very unique experiences in the hospital or whatever clinical setting. I can probably go on for hours about my experiences alone, so I'll save you guys the trouble. And yeah, academically, I mean, we're all in this program together, as you've probably can hear me repeat myself for like the billionth time, that we are a huge, gigantic family, and we all support each other. We share notes and do all of those things to make sure we all succeed our very best. So I don't really know where to go on from there.
Yeah, I think something that's been supportive within the program is I had the on-campus piece, which was great kind of to build that community. But then moving to the online side of things, we still did that. So we have a Facebook group, and we don't only post questions about assignments or different things like that, but also someone might be looking for housing, or someone might need another classmate to look after a pet. So I think figuring out these ways to create community are really, really important.
That's great, thank you. And you talked a little bit, Tobias, about creating that sense of community and help that you can get. And so I had another question as well regarding what kind of services that a student can expect to find around campus in order to find assistance or find help. And what does that look like in your own personal experience? So what are we thinking? I know it's so broad. Go ahead. For sure.
I remember my first year. So during your first week, there's going to be orientation, and there's just going to be so many different people that'll be on campus that are ready to kind of greet you and introduce you to various supports. There'll be a booth over here in the corner, and what's amazing, but was also just, I was like, wow, there's various clubs that you can join, and literally anything you can think of, there is a club for. So don't worry, you will find your place. You will feel supported, and there's always kind of a group of people ready to welcome you in.
Fantastic, thank you. And just to echo that as well, we do have many clubs here on campus. I personally have friends in the Quidditch club, for example. Intramural sports was a fantastic service that helped me kind of exercise through, especially exam period, as we're in final exam period right now. Something that's important there. Anything else to add about services on campus, folks? Yeah.
Services on campus, we have our own medical clinic that's for students, and they're fabulous there. We also have mental health services that you can access on clinic, which they are definitely helpful if you need to access them. And then there's the Interfaith Chapel. They have many different denominations religiously that you can actually go, and different services, different events. They have meditation. Like I said, the pet cafe. So the sky's the limit here, really. There's so much.
Absolutely. I haven't actually been to the pet cafe. Has anyone else been to that before? I've heard they have puppies. sounds amazing. So getting back to professors just for a second here. It's my understanding that you have many professors that are experts in their fields. What is it like to kind of get this practical experience that's mandatory for you? And what is it like to work alongside them? And can you share any personal experiences related to that? Yeah, for sure.
So again, one of the nice things about health informatics is the professors, a lot of them are formerly worked in the field, and they have lots of knowledge or kind of direct examples they can give us, and it's nice to have those direct examples to then apply, again, the theory to a kind of a practical type of thing.
Thank you so much. We're going to go to a short break right now. When we come back, we'll have more questions standing by, so please comment. We have people standing by right now to answer your questions, so right after this.
The community at HSD is great because we're all working in a helping profession, and so we've all learned how to care and be supportive of one another. We're also very culturally diverse.
The community at UVic I really enjoyed. It was very diverse. There was other Aboriginal students that I found very supportive, and we could exchange ideas on how to move forward and share connections.
Indigenous governance gives students a good opportunity to engage with elders, communities, and also to do a community governance project, which allows them to put into action all the things that they've learned during the time that they've been here at UVic with us.
Health is an issue that's never going to go away because it deals with communities and being able to have a strong and healthy community.
The unique thing about studying at UVic is that you can do it entirely by distance.
Because it gave me the flexibility to do some work and travel at the same time, and I really liked that freedom.
We have world-class faculty, really connecting with people and networking and sharing that passion and learning.
In the real world, there's all kinds of challenges, and so a lot of what I'm focusing on isn't just that these are things we know, but it's around how do we implement the things we know. But I think what students are learning is then how do we actually do it within these contexts that really are more challenging.
My favorite part so far is the different professors that I've had, the wealth of knowledge that they carry, and the ability to work in different practices and having those as mentors has been great.
I was lucky enough to be able to do a 4-month practicum like the rest of my classmates, and I felt that really tied in well with my studies because it really gave me the practical experience to exercise the skills that I've learned in this, and instead of having it in a very theoretical realm, was actually able to help the organization that I was working for and will help other health promotion organizations as well.
My best learning has been those practical areas where you get to put your schooling into practice.
And it's just a wonderful combination of research, academia, and professional practice.
It allows us to actually create change before we've even graduated, which is great.
The thing that tends to unite the people who come into the program is a desire to make a difference. The program is very practical in nature, so I think it's also very well suited to people who want to ramp up and get going with their careers and to walk in, essentially launch themselves into an interesting and meaningful career path.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our student panel on human and social development. Thank you very much for sticking around, folks. And we have a question actually right now from Siva. Thank you very much, Siva. Siva says, I've applied to volunteer for hospice at a local hospital. I was wondering if this is something that would help in preparation for the nursing program. So for this, of course, we're going to go to our resident nursing student, Candice. Candice, do you think you can shed some light on this for us?
Thanks. Short answer, yes, definitely. Hospice is a very unique area to volunteer in, so I commend you for wanting to do so. And it really encourages you to really communicate and develop your interpersonal skills with the people you work with in hospice and you have the privilege of engaging with. So it definitely would not hurt your chances. If anything, it will give you some more insight of really the caring aspect of nursing, which is something that sometimes people forget about because they focus on more so the medical side of nursing. So you see us at the bedside a lot of times, but sometimes people forget that nurses fundamentally care for their clients.
I'd like to note, it's also not just nursing that gets into that. In child and youth care, we also do a little bit of work with palliative care and helping children and youth go through that. And I'm sure social work and all of that falls into play, but nursing is definitely a really cool one, not something that I've looked into. So,
yeah, it's really interesting. And so Ramon's also asking here, hi Ramon, what social work practicums are like. So I was wondering if Tobias, you could shed some light on that one for us.
Absolutely. So there is so many different kind of domains, areas of social work you can go into. So before going into the program, I mostly worked in the nonprofit sector, so I feel like I had a bit of experience with that. But my third year practicum, I was working at Centralized Services Hub, which is with the government, and that was a great opportunity. I had fantastic mentors, which were really invested not only in my learning there, but also my future, and that gave me an opportunity to kind of understand how that system operates.
That's really cool. And for those of us who don't know, the Centralized Services Hub, can you just go into a bit more expand on what that is? Yeah.
Absolutely. So that is with the Ministry of Children and Family Development. So that is a branch of our government.
Okay, thank you very much. Learn something new every day. So we were talking a little bit before or during the break as well about what kind of specialties are offered. And I wanted to touch on what you said earlier, Abby, regarding child and youth care. And I wondered if you could expand, either Kelsey or Abby, about what kind of specialties there are.
Definitely more experience. So in child and youth care, in the past few years, at least when I've been going through it, there are 3 specialties you can go into. You can go into the early childhood education stream, you can go into the Indigenous stream, or you can go into the child protection or social work stream. You can also do double streams, so you can do Indigenous child protection, or you can do Indigenous early childhood education. So there's a lot of different options to going through the program. And I'm actually doing the child protection specialization, and we'll be doing a practicum with the ministry starting in January.
Of course.
Thank you. That's also not to say that you have to do a specialization. You can just do the bachelor's degree, come back for more if you want. You can always go into something else. But we all kind of agree that we like specialization, whereas I'm going into protection. So everyone's a little bit different, and you've always got a lot of options in front of you.
And with all those options, because as I take it in this faculty, and even in each program, there are so many options. I think that's the theme of today. What could I do, potentially, if I'm a high school student, to help prepare for this faculty and these individual programs? And what have you done to help prepare you for where you are right now? It's a very loaded question. They're all loaded questions. Yeah, let's go around.
Yeah. So help to prepare for the faculty specifically, or?
Yeah, for the faculty, and then your program if you have an experience there too.
Okay, yeah. So for me, part of the reason I went into this program was because I knew various people have finished the program and had success. So I think for me, a lot of the preparation was just sort of looking into things, looking into what I could do afterwards with my degree and speaking to people and sort of building those connections and networks beforehand to kind of, to learn more about the program beforehand.
So for me, I actually ended up getting into the child and youth care field before I came to school. And so I found that I tried to find jobs like after school care positions, day camps, teaching swim lessons, the Boys and Girls Club, I worked for them. So just trying to get some experience with children, even babysitting, or just like face-to-face human interaction is huge. So.
To go off on face-to-face human interaction, I did not have as much experience as Kelsey. I worked at McDonald's, and that was a lot of face-to-face interaction. People just want your experience and want your knowledge and want your empathy and your respect for other people. For our program, we definitely had to apply for the program by writing a little bit about ourselves, kind of like a cover letter, without getting too much into it. I don't know if you had to do that, but we definitely had to just say a bit about ourselves and just let others know that, you know what, I think this is for me. And all of them are great programs to get into, even if you decide not to do it in the end. So.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke a little bit about this earlier, but my first 2 years before I got into the social work program, I just volunteered within the community here. And in Victoria, there's such a great need for volunteers. And I think it's a great way to not only get experience, but you really get to try out for a moment what being in that position is like, and then you can kind of navigate. Do you want to go into a specialization, or do you want to go into social work or CYC or nursing? So I think volunteering is a wonderful way to kind of learn more about where you would like to go.
Thank you. Yes, I agree. Volunteering at your local hospital would definitely give you a glimpse of the daily work life of a nurse or even any healthcare professional in general. I would also say if you have a chance to talk to nursing students or nurses themselves about their experiences, I'm sure they'll have lots of fun stories to share with you. And if possible, even try to shadow a shift with them. I mean, it's a busy atmosphere, but if you're able to get a shadow shift with a nurse, you're very lucky because our time is very limited on the units.
That's fair. So the theme I'm getting here then is volunteering is a high priority, and also that kind of face-to-face time seems to be kind of a theme throughout each one of the programs, if I'm not mistaken. It's really interesting. So we have another question from Kendra, and thank you, Kendra. So she says, while we're on the topic of practicums, does the school kind of assist you in placing you in practicums? Do you find your own placement? And what about like online program placements? So I wonder if you could speak to your experience on those.
So as I'm going into my 4th year practicum, I actually found my own 3rd year practicum, but there are practicum advisors. They're there to help you, at least in my experience. I was able to give them a list of my interests, what I wanted to do, if there was an agency I wanted to work in, and then they would help contact and kind of start the process for you. And they walk you through, at least in my experience, they kind of walked me through the whole way, especially with the social work practicum that I'm starting on.
And Abby, how about you? Did you have a similar practicum experience?
Definitely. So with Big Brothers Big Sisters, I definitely received help from our practicum advisors. They were amazing in trying to locate exactly what each of us would be interested in. But the funny thing is that I actually found a job posting online and applied to the job posting and said, I want to be a practicum student with you. So at Big Brothers Big Sisters, it was just an amazing experience. My supervisor was just fantastic, just flawless. So you can always look in other areas, but definitely refer to your advisors before you decide on anything, just to make sure it's a right fit for you.
Excellent. So I'm hearing that we get some assistance and some aid, but also if you find something, you have the agency to go forth and tackle it yourself. That's excellent. I actually have the same question, but for co-ops, which means health and information sciences. So Natalie, can you touch on that a little bit as well?
So in the Health Information Science program, the co-op coordinator we have, at least for me, is very supportive in helping you sort of navigate your interests and figure out which jobs might be the right fit for you. There's also so you do have the agency to, again, find your own option. But yeah, there's lots of options for people to kind of navigate their interests and yeah, get a unique experience.
That's fantastic. Oh, yes, absolutely, Candace.
Thank you. Just because nursing's a little bit unique, in which we have a wonderful, lovely practicum coordinator who pretty much places you the moment you step into UVic. So you write down your preferences of what areas you want to work in, and fingers crossed you get your first pick, but you never have to worry about getting placed. Because you will be placed.
There you heard it here first, folks. Then you get some guaranteed work placement experience, and it sounds like a lot of really cool practical experience from each one of these programs. That differs quite a lot. I'm learning a lot today. I don't know about you at home, but I'm having a great time. So how does that transfer? Let's shift back to the classrooms for a second. I'm wondering how that kind of transfers to the workloads in each one of your programs. So outside of this kind of guidance that you get in these practicums, how is the actual program workload itself? I know.
I'll speak to CYC. In my experience, I feel like it's fairly balanced. I've had the opportunity of having, like I said, I have a part-time job and I have 2 or 3 volunteer gigs. And I'm also able to do my full-time coursework. So they really try, at least in child and youth care from my experience, they try to give a real good school home life balance. It's still work, it's going to be a lot of work. There are papers, but I found it fairly manageable. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Can we expand on that? Was it manageable for everyone else as well? Was it difficult at times? We can express some challenges, some joys. Yes, Natalie.
So yeah, I definitely agree with you in the fact that it's a good work-life balance in the sense where you can have other hobbies if you want or go to social gatherings. But so definitely good work-life balance. And again, it's just if you are struggling, what's nice about all of our programs again is we all seem to have small cohorts and can kind of rely on one another for support and build those knowledge bases. So.
Wonder if we can get a social work program perspective on this one as well. Was it similar for you?
Yeah, well, as I did both on campus and online, I think one of the most important things for me is you get a lovely calendar and you color coordinate that and you put everything when it's due, and then you can kind of build your life around that. So of course, any program you're going to be in is a lot of work, and really what you get out of the program is the amount you put into it. But it's definitely possible to have a balance. You just have to be organized, and I think that's a great thing for all the high school students out there. Just start thinking about different ways you can be organized, and you can have some fun with it too.
Yep, Candace.
Yeah, so one of the previous questions asked was how many hours I should anticipate to put in each week. I think one of the things to think about when you enter university for the first time is not so much how many hours, but like the quality of time you put in. So it's about working smarter, not necessarily harder. And that's how you can like maximize your work-life balance that way. So get off that YouTube.
Or Netflix.
But not Facebook.
So we're talking about, so I hear a lot of some color coordination, some organizing workspaces, and the quality of time that you spend. I think this is a hugely important topic, and I think we can get a lot out of this. So we're actually going to go around for this next question, but I wanted to hear what all of your tips for time management are. And I'm just giving you a moment to think about it. While you're doing that, just a reminder to you at home that we are still here and ready for your questions. So keep them coming, folks. This panel is standing by and waiting for you with thumbs at the ready. So we're going to start actually back at Candace. What are some of the tips for time management? And we're going to come around in a round circle-like fashion.
One of the things I like doing personally is kind of like what you said about coloring, coordinating your calendar. I'm obsessive that way, but it keeps me focused. And with that, a checklist of what I want to achieve each day. So it kind of keeps me focused on what's the most pressing issue, not so much worried about like a deadline that's weeks later when I have maybe a quiz the next week. And also taking breaks when necessary, just because it keeps your mind fresh and healthy that way. You can't possibly spend, 10 hours in a library locked up and trying to force information in when your brain just needs fresh air. And luckily in Victoria, we have wonderful forests nearby you can go on hikes on. Yeah. And those are my biggest tips.
Yeah, well, as I said, my calendar, I love that calendar, is one thing I like to do. I think another thing is you really have to strategize. So, for example, in the social work program, I've had the experience where maybe for a final project, you get to choose the topic. And I think, therefore, when you have all these assigned readings, let's say you're overwhelmed for a certain reason, something personal came up or work, then you can kind of strategize and be like, okay, I'm going to go for these readings that apply to this project. And that's, you really have to find these smart ways of kind of balancing everything out.
So I'm not like that. I'm a bit of an organized mess, but as long as if I know the due date of something and I know that something's coming up and I know a certain topic's coming up, then I'll just try to do everything ahead of time because then I'm not thinking about it. I give myself a due date before the due date actually is, but that's also like completely personalized. If you're an organized mess like me, sometimes that does happen. I also took a year off and had to take some mental health time, so that's totally fair if you have to do that.
I think it's really important to note, thank you. As well, just speaking from personal experience, it took me, I think, like 4 years or so to try to get like a time management thing organized and ready. And there are services here to help you, but we each find our own path as well. And so don't be discouraged if you don't find it right away. It's really cool to hear that we have our own tools, and I have mine too, whether it be calendars or color organization. But I think that the important note is that it's all an adaptive process.
I'm not like any of you. Unfortunately, I'm the procrastinator. There's always one. How I've done things has shifted since first year. First year, I was really on top of things, but it gave me an idea of what I needed to do best to get the work done that I needed to do. And then second year, the procrastination got a bit worse. Third year, it got too bad, so I had to pull back and start making schedules. And now that I'm in my fourth year, I rely a lot on my friends. So we'll actually get together and make groups to work on homework together. And I found that's the best way. Not that I haven't written a few papers hours before the due date, but most of them have been ahead of time now. So I found the friends is the best thing that I was able to do for myself. Peer pressure. Positive peer pressure.
And I would say with health information science, as I mentioned before, for me, there's lots of group projects. So you may be juggling 4 or 5 group projects all at once, and it's really coordinating those meeting times and staying on top of it. And again, like you said before, working smart, not hard. So kind of coordinating the meetings, having plans beforehand, just really, maximize your time.
I agree. Work smart, not hard. And we talked a little bit before, Kelsey, you mentioned about the hands-on experience and how early that happened for you. I wonder if you can expand a little bit more on how the words hands-on applies to you and your program within this faculty. And then how soon into your program did you get to experience whatever hands-on means to you? Any volunteers? Yeah, Natalie.
So with health information science, you learn a lot of theory about systems and the way systems work and stuff, but it's all kind of jumbled at first. You're not sure what it really is. So for myself, my first co-op was after my second year. And with that, I was really able to interact with the system, interact with clinicians, and get that sort of experience on the job, which put it all together and made sense of it all. So.
Fantastic. Can somebody expand on that? Did you have a similar experience to the health information sciences? Yeah.
So your first year in social work, which is your third year at UVic, you'll go into your practicum your second term. So your first term will kind of be giving you, introducing you to theories, establishing kind of ideas to help you, and then it's lovely that the next term you kind of get to put that into practice and kind of put all those theories to the real world.
That sounds so nice. So you get to apply kind of what you've learned to the real world while you're still in your course itself. That's so interesting. And so on that note, when you're not in your core courses, we all need some breaks sometimes, and UVic does give you the chance to offer that. What has been some of your favorite electives while you're still in university? And why, if you have a certain elective? Yeah.
So I actually took American Sign Language as one of my electives. That's an option you can have here at UVic, and it is an amazing course with some amazing professors. From my experience, both of my professors were from the deaf community, and so you go right in immersion, and it really suited my my kind of faculties, child and youth care. I've been able to use it on the job as well, and it's kind of just been great to add on. So,
anyone else? Abby, do you have a favorite elective?
I can speak to it on a bit. So for my electives, I am going to be taking American Sign Language, so yay. But I actually did electives abroad in Denmark, so that was really cool. I got to take a couple of really interesting courses there. And, you know, always broaden your horizons. That's why you have to take electives. So that's definitely a big part of it, for sure.
And for those of us at home as well, that time in Denmark, that was on an international exchange. Is that correct? Could you expand on a little bit more about that?
Sure, absolutely. So with my studying abroad, I got to visit a new country. It was my first time out of the country of Canada, which was amazing. Denmark's very lovely, by the way, if you ever go there. I did that through the International Student Society, or what we call the ISS, which is located next to counseling if you ever need them. They're absolutely lovely people. So for each program, not so much child and youth care anymore. There can be opportunities for studying abroad. It doesn't happen in your first year. It always happens in either your second or forward. Again, depending on, I don't know what to speak to for the rest of you. But yeah, it's an amazing experience. If you ever just need to get out there, if you ever want to learn something, say in Scotland, again, beautiful country. There's always opportunity everywhere. And that's what the International Student Society is there to provide.
That sounds so interesting. Thank you. Yeah. I personally got to go to the UK for a similar experience in the international exchange. Yeah. Back to the elective question for just a second. Candice, I am aware that you might not have the same answer as everybody else to that question. Could you explain a bit as to why that is?
So with the nursing program here at UVic, we are in a partnership with another college. So I came from Camosun College here in Victoria as well. So a lot of the students in my cohort got their electives done in around the years 1 and 2. So that would be like an English and maybe a health course at Camosun. So I can't really speak on what electives they took because that was what they decided to do. My experience is a little bit different just because I completed my electives earlier at UVic. So for example, I took Japanese here and astronomy. So as you go into upper levels in 3rd and 4th year, we have limited space in our curriculum, so some of the electives are very nursing focused and nursing specific. So the elective I took for year 4 was pharmacology, which is quite I guess simply put, is just kind of the study of drugs and how it's made and how they function in the body. And I took that one because I found it to be directly applicable to the work I'll be doing in the future, just because, for example, nurses administer lots of medications. So other students might take a different elective, for example, mental health. That's really big in our communities, and everyone's mental health is really important. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. So we're shifting gears a little bit from electives and going into, after you've done all of these electives and all of your coursework, what are your plans after graduation? What do you plan to do, or do you know?
I definitely know, actually. So for once in my life, and probably in a lot of people's life, I actually do know what I want to do. I want to get into a law program after this and hopefully defend deviant youths who are going through really troubling times and need someone to represent them when their parents aren't there for them. So that can be a sidestep. It's not really a definitive line of study necessarily from what I understand, but again, with HSD based community, you have so many options. So just kind of put your head on one thing and start to lean towards it and go for it.
I agree. Just stick with nose to the grindstone. And I think this is a pretty important question for all of us as students. So we might actually go around the circle and just try and get everybody's opinion on this one. So is it okay if we start with you next, Tobias?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I've decided exactly where I would like to end up. As I said kind of earlier, there's so many different domains where social workers are. So there is a lot of opportunities. I guess that's that can be a positive and negative. There's too much opportunity, but at the same time, I think you can really find something that you'll connect with.
Well, I hope to get my RN designation so I could work as a nurse, registered nurse. I have different passions that kind of sometimes conflict. So I'm thinking maybe I'd like to work in cardiology or maybe even mental health. But one of the benefits of nursing is that kind of the sky is limitless because healthcare, it affects everybody. So whether or not you want to work at the bedside, which is what a lot of my colleagues want to do, you don't have to do that. You can work as a medical adjudicator, for example. You can work in public health and go to schools and just take care of children in that area. So it's just a matter of thinking, what are your passions in life and where do you want to be? And then nursing will definitely take you there.
So I'm planning to go and work for a few years in the field, preferably actually at my 3rd year practicum. So that will be really great. I'm going back to the community and we'll be working with them through my next practicum. But down the line, I hope to come back and get my clinical counseling master's and hopefully specialize in animal-assisted therapies. So.
Yeah, and with health informatics, it's again a field like yours where there's lots of different areas you can kind of specialize in and go into. So you can work in the public sector, in the private sector, you can work for the government. So yeah, I'm not sure yet, but I'm sure I'll find my way.
That's really good. I'm getting the sense again that everybody is kind of very interested in kind of helping people. We heard about giving back, and it's really cool to see that you're all kind of meshed together in that same way with that theme. So here we have one final question for you all. I want to finish this sentence just in 1 or 2 quick words for our audiences at home. My UVic life is blank. And we're going to start over here.
All right. My UVic life is experience.
My UVic life is magical.
My UVic life has let me grow up.
My UVic life is transformational.
My UVic life is inspirational.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today here on our panel. And thank you so much for joining us tonight there at home and for all of your questions. It's been fantastic. I hope you have a lovely evening and we'll see you all soon. Hope to see you, UVic. Yeah, we'll all wave. Can we all wave? Goodbye. Goodbye.